educator, I've taken a bunch of tests, 5 tests with Google. You have to pass them, obviously. And then I have to do a case study. I have a year to do that, and so I'm in the process of doing that now and getting my certification. So at Baraboo, I'm a computer teacher, and I use Google every day. In a lot of my classes, we teach, how to use docs, spreadsheets, slides, drawing. Google Classroom, utilize that for everything that I do in the classroom. I'm completely paperless, which, let me tell you, is a fabulous thing. Like, I no longer have papers to grade or any of that. Everything's online. And then with Google Classroom and Google with the ability to share and collaborate, it has just made the biggest difference. So I don't actually have to be in my computer lab to grade computer assignments. So with drawing, I think drawing's kind of fun. So you can do so many different things than just throw shapes up on a screen. So here's some examples of some of the things that I've done. Newsletters, you can do newsletters. You can do quite a bit. Anything you can think of, you can do. Flyers, web design. So I teach a class, web design, and a lot of the kids don't know how to use Photoshop or anything like that, but they know how to use Google Drawing. So we can create a banner and put it on your website. Simple as that. You can use Venn diagrams, you can do charts, Wordles, literally anything you think of, you can do. So like if you have an idea, Google it. Yeah, Google it. See what you come up with. Like a lot of times, okay, I want to make a newsletter. What do I want to make it look like? I'll Google newsletter, find some images, and then recreate it myself. So here's an example of one that I did. I coach freshman girls basketball. So I sent out a newsletter. I wanted to share it. And instead of using like Adobe or Word, I did it in Drawing. So everybody's familiar with Google Drive, right? Know how to use it? Awesome. So obviously to make a new one, at first some people are like, well, where is it? You gotta go to More, and then you can find your drawing. So just a good rule of thumb, always remember to, first thing, change your title, because like if you look in my drive, I have so many untitled docs, spreadsheets, drawings. Just a good thing to get in. I always tell my students right away, before you do anything else, title it. The great thing about Google is it'll give you a timestamp, and it also shows you what it is you've created, if it's a doc, spreadsheet, slides. But yeah, just get in the habit of titling it. So a great thing you can do also is you can customize the size of your drawing or your canvas. So you can specify what you want it to be. So when you do that, you go to the file, and then down at the bottom is page setup, just kind of like in slides or let's see, doc, anything like that. So you can specify again what you want. So you're going to see where it says standard widescreen, and it gives you different dimensions. I usually just go to custom because I like to tell it what I want it to do. So you can also change the units and increments in which it is measured by. So like inches, centimeters, points, pixels. Pixels I use for web design, for making like a banner, and then inches is probably what you'd use. So depending upon what it is you were making, no idea what I was making at this point in time, but if you want it to be horizontal or landscape or portrait, you can specify that in there in where you put the numbers. This would be a landscape document. And if at any point I go too fast, let me know. Easy way to change your background, because everybody always wants to change your background color. Unfortunately, at this time, you can only do a solid color, no gradients or anything like that, but just because you can't do a gradient doesn't mean you can't do anything interesting. Like my background here for my presentation, it's Google Slides. I made it. I like purple, if you can tell. So I just made that, and see all of these shapes you can get in drawing as well, so I could easily create this in drawing. So here you go, colors, easy way to do it. If you right click while you're on the canvas, you'll get the box that pops up, you can select background, and then these are all the different colors that you can choose from, but then you can customize it as well. So if you click customize, another box will pop up, and then you can move the little sliders to pick a color of your choice. Rule of thumb with color, if you have a dark background, you should have light text. If you've got a light background, dark text, because obviously you want it to be easy to read. So word art. You have word art. It's not like Microsoft Word Art. It is so much better. When you put it in, it gives you the ability, to create interest for your document or your drawing. Anything. And you can move it around. You can resize it because you'll get the blue handles in there, so you can resize. So when you go to do word art, this is the little box that'll pop up to where you can type your information. So if you keep typing, it'll all go on one line. So if you're wanting multiple lines, you have to do Shift-Enter, and it tells you that right here. So it'll put your text on different lines. So that's really something important to remember. Otherwise, it's going to be one really long line. So Shift-Enter. Okay, so like if you noticed, I have all these fonts here. You guys can get these for free. So you can add additional fonts. It's really great. So when you go into fonts, down at the way bottom, there's more fonts. And then what you can do, it has a list. I've never gone all the way to the bottom, but you can add as many as you want at a time. And so then you have these fonts in docs, presentation, spreadsheets. Yeah, they carry over to all of them. And they have the best names. I always think it would be fun to name fonts or like lip gloss or nail polish. Yeah. Yeah, right? There's a font in InDesign in one of the Adobe suites. It's called Mac and Cheese. Like, it doesn't look like mac and cheese, but I just think it would be fun to name fonts. So, besides fonts, some other things that you can do. You can create tables. So an example of a table that I've created here, actually in drawing, is, I call this an article review. It's a 3-2-1. So they have to read something. So I teach high school, so trying to work on, our literacy-based skills. They have to write 3 facts, 2 assumptions, and then a question, and then they have to summarize their article. So find them an article online. And then here in drawing, I've created my table. I have my little arrows to help point what they need to do. And so like anything you can do in a doc, table-wise, you can do in drawing. So like I could create this table in drawing and then I can put it into my presentation to manipulate it. Here, these are just screenshots, love screenshots. But you can see these have all the tools. So you can insert a row above, below, you can insert columns, you can delete, you can distribute. And that means you can make your rows equal, same size. You can make your columns the same size. I don't know about you guys, but it bothers me when my stuff isn't proportioned and equaled out. You can merge cells, unmerge. So like right here, this is a merged cell. So it kind of takes everything that you were able to do in docs and sheets and puts it in here. But can you do formulas? No. So you'd still want to do that in sheets. When you go to align, so you have your left, center, right, justify, but then you can also put things in like the center of your text box. You can have it at the top or at the bottom, because sometimes in charts maybe you want to have your text aligned at the bottom. Just depends visually what you're looking to do. So you can do all of that here. And you just go up to the menu bar and you get to table. And that's where you get all of these features. This will be on the top, underneath the menu, just the top at your canvas, when you have text, that you can do any of this. And then my other favorite tool that I don't think people use is the Format Painter. The Format Painter is fabulous. So I changed my text over here, different font, bolded it, maybe I changed it a different size. And I didn't highlight all of these when I did it. So you don't want to have to go highlight these and then change them again. All you have to do is take your Format Painter, you click it. Well, you highlight the text first, then you click it. And then you can come over to this other text you want to format and highlight it. And it'll apply all of those attributes to that text without you having to go through and redo it, changing the size, changing the font. Now, Format Painter, is in all of the apps. It's even in Word and Excel too. Just a little tip. And it looks like that. So that's the Format Painter. Yes, ma'am?
And just a little tip too, like if you double click the Format Painter, then you can use it more than once.
Yep.
If you just click it once, you can only
Yes,
use it
so
once.
then multiple times you click it, how many times you can use it. It's fun. I like it. So here's this toolbar that I was talking about. So there's your Format Painter. Lines. So you can do different types of lines with connecting. So like using an arrow from here to point, and I have more examples of when you'd use that. So you can change the stroke of your line to have a straight line, the weight of it, what it looks like, your text tool, putting in images.
So would you create this in drawing?
Mm-hmm.
Like if this was the assignment you wanted your students to do.
Mm-hmm.
Would you create it in drawing and then distribute it, say, through Google Classroom?
Yep.
And the kids would actually write on the
Yep.
drawing. So why would you do that instead of a doc? So you can draw the arrows or?
So you can draw the arrows, just sometimes it's easier.
Okay.
It just depends what it is I'm doing. Or depending on the class that it is, I'll have them make it.
Okay.
So like I teach a computers and society class, and part of it is learning how to manipulate drawing and docs and all of that. So it's just another thing that you can use drawing for. I mix it up depending upon what I'm using. Okay, so ordering and arranging. So like when you're putting things on a doc, it puts it kind of in layers if you think about it. Like, so you can change how you have items. So like ordering right now, this image that I have is on top of this one. And so to do that, my favorite way to do it is just to right click, and then you can go to order, and then you can specify like bring forward, bring to front. Bring to front would be all the way on the top, and then bring forward would be like just move it once. Does that make sense? And then the same with send back and then send backwards. Send back all the way to the back of your canvas. Like obviously the kids will be like, well, does it go behind my background color? No, because that's what the page color is. Another great tool is to flip horizontally and vertically. So if you want to mirror an image, or you have an image on one side of the page and then you want to flip it so it looks the other way. Like I have an image that we can talk about in a second, but rotating instead of manually having to do it, because you know sometimes like if you rotate and then like the shape, like a line specifically, is no longer really straight looking. And see, that would bother me with my OCD there. So, I mean, you can even center things exactly on the page. And we'll talk about the rest of these as well. So just your ordering and arranging. Just know that you have that option in drawing, as well as in docs and in presentations. Okay, so placing images. If you don't already have an image that you want to do, you can go and you can click on the little image looking button right up there. And you can insert images. You can do multiple ones. This is a search right here. You can specify the type that you want. Sometimes I haven't had the best success doing it this way, but you can also, if you just Google something, find the image and drag and drop it. That's like really my favorite thing about this, is that you can just drag and drop an image onto your screen. But you can upload from your file. You can actually just take a snapshot. So like I have iPhoto up right now because I'm recording myself, right? So I can just take a snapshot from here and place it in there. Obviously, stuff from your Google Drive. If you have albums of pictures that you've taken, it's just a way to put images in. Snapping to guides. This is one of my favorite features on there. So if you've used it before, notice when you're moving objects, whether it be text, images around, you'll see red lines. I wanted to take a screenshot of this, but I couldn't get it to work to where I wanted it. But it'll automatically align, whether it be vertically, horizontally, your images up. So as you move them around, we'll get in and we'll play with drawing, and I can show you then perfectly, because I like it when, say, my text, if I have multiple text boxes, like the text, the top line is all at the same line, or if you have things centered on the page, you want each object to be lined up in the center. These snap to guides allow you to do that. And so to make sure you have them, if you go to View, then Snap to, you can have grids or guides. I prefer to use the guides, and we'll show you those when we actually start to play. Okay, cropping. So you can do a little bit of photo editing in this. Nothing like Photoshop, but you know, some basic stuff. So by just double clicking on an image, this was a banner that I did for class, and I have a Boston Terrier, that's why. So back to flipping, if I wanted to flip this and have the dog facing the other direction, I could do that. That would be just a flip horizontally. So double click, and you'll see the little black like L's here. I can move these to show what I want in the photo. So just because we have a photo that you've gotten off the internet, you don't have to keep it that exact way. You can manipulate it a little. So you can see, after I've cropped it, it looks like this. Now that doesn't permanently change the photo, just in your drawing. Now, some other things that you can do to it, you can do some recolor. These are some of the options. I've honestly only used it to like go black and white on an image.
How do you get those to come up?
How did I get that to come up? It is image options. It'll be, what? Oh, you found it? Okay. It just should be to that right there, or if you right click on it as well. I'm a big right clicker. And then just remember, if you've done something and you absolutely hate it, just reset the adjustment, or if you've already applied it, edit undo is a great thing. So these are just some of the different things. You can manually do the transparency. So like right here, I was playing with it, and so now it's faded out. It's like the opacity there. Brightness, contrast. It just depends what the picture is and what you're using it for. A common question I've gotten is, if we take an image and it has a white background, can you remove that white background? No. No, the best way would be, if you're looking for something with no background, to Google, like whatever the image is, like apple, no background. And so when you pull it up, if you see the apple and then you see the gray and white check boxes, that'll indicate to you that that image has no background. Okay, so this is called masking, when you take an image and you make the image go into a shape. So a lot of times you'll see like people use a heart, you know, taking a picture with their significant other. That's just an example of what you can do with that. So you'll see the crop tool, right? And then to the right of that, there's a little down arrow. And if you click on that, you have to have your image selected first of all. Then you can see the different shapes, and you just pick one. So it went from being our rectangle to our shape here. Yeah, it's that little itty bitty arrow to the right pointing down. You just gotta have your image selected, and then you'll see the crop tool. Some just different things you can do to create interest. So borders and lines, those obviously we know what lines are, and then the borders can be what you have around an object or a text box, and you can change the color. So like this would be your fill, this would be the stroke, which would be the border or outline. You can change the line weight, so how thick it is, and then the line style. So like the example right here, this circle has no fill. I changed the line style and then the line weight. So then this circle has a fill but no outline. So I mean, you can see the different things that you do can create interest. So shapes and grouping. So did you guys realize that you can select more than one object and then group them?
That's what I was just going to ask.
Yeah. Yeah, because like you don't, want to move them around or whatever. So to select more than one object, really the easiest way to do it, so like if I wanted to select everything that I had on my screen, I'd take my mouse, I'd move a little outside the canvas, and I'd click and I'd stay clicking and I'd draw like an imaginary marquee, and it'll select everything that's inside that marquee that I've drawn. One way to do it is right click and you can select group, or normally it's going to be under edit, but I am a big shortcut. So if you're on the PC, Command G for group, or Control G, and then Max would be Command G, and that would group items. Now if you're trying to just select like one or two, if you click and press and hold Shift, and then click additional objects, and then you can group them. So then you have something grouped. Well, now you want to ungroup it, right? Right click on it, ungroup, or Command Shift G, or Control Shift G. For some reason, I've just gotten really big into using keyboard shortcuts. Okay, so downloading. So now that you've created this drawing, so obviously when you go to put it in Classroom, you don't really have to make any changes to it. It can be a drawing, a Google drawing. So these are all the different things that you can download it as. So PDF and JPEGs are really the ones that I use all the time. So like my freshman for basketball this newsletter here, I would download it as a PDF. So then I can, mail it. I can send it out during email. Put it on. If I would put it as a JPEG, I can put it on, like, say, Facebook, your Facebook page, Twitter, any of that stuff. And then, of course, print it out. But you can print out from drawing anyway. So it just gives you the option of being able to have your creations and use them as anything different. Yes, ma'am.
So let's say I group something, I put a text like on a banner,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's grouped, but I can't how you used to have like that arrow that would come up?
The rotate?
Yeah, it doesn't show me.
It might not be on the top, but it might be on the corner if you move your mouse, not directly on the blue, but a little over the right, that it changes.
You can do that, it just says bigger or,
So you have it grouped.
yeah.
So you have this little guy right there, and you should be able to click and then spin it.
Oh, because whenever I would click on it, it would.
See, it's not going to give you what it looks like, the little double-sided arrow that you're used to getting.
Okay.
It gives you the hash mark.
I don't like that thing. I thought it was wrong. Okay, thanks.
So I recently, in the math department, we've started, they were working on fractions or proportions or some math-related item. So this is like a graph that was actually made in Sheets and then brought into drawing. But these are actually ones that were made in drawing just by using shapes. And then obviously in math you do the order in which you put items. So maybe you wanting your kids to visually understand, proportions, fractions, something of that nature, that you can actually make our own. So this is one that we did in one of my computer classes. We were doing something to do with pets just to illustrate that you could make something like this in drawing. And so there's obviously really no rhyme or reason to it, but just to show that you could do a bar chart. I mean, you could even go in, and if you wanted to do additional text boxes, if you calculated the percents. It was just another option of showing kids what they can do in it, but yes, you would probably use Sheets for this. Okay, so putting it in Classroom, really easy. I'll show you an example of what I've done with this one, but here was an assignment that I did. It was more of like an interactive whiteboard assignment where it had questions, it had the key terms off the canvas, and then they had to click and then drag the terms on. So it's an easy way to do that. And if you had questions later about Classroom, if you're not going to a session, I can answer those for you as well. Here's a link that shows you some of the just different things that you can use drawing for. So word processing, interactive whiteboard presentation. The student metacognition was kind of cool. So, this is where the word processing is. So she made like a newsletter here. Again, the chart came in from Sheets. So this would be like, different shapes You can click and they can drag and drop. So instead of like if you have a smart board, instead of using like notebook that comes, that's what I have with my smart board. I don't like notebook. It doesn't let me do what I want to do quickly. So that's when I've used drawing. So like for accounting, when I taught accounting and we'd be going over T accounts, you know, finding the debit and credit sides, they'd be able to easily just drag and drop, and it's something visual and hands-on that they can do. Let's see. So the same, here's, it'll pop up. Okay, well, you guys can watch that later if you want. Again, image editing, just kind of what I've shown you. I mean, I wouldn't really call that image editing, but you can do a little bit of stuff with it. So if you need ideas, there are templates out there that you can get that so you don't have to create your own stuff. So there's Venn diagram. I mean, there's the fishbone diagram. I mean, in some of these things, I was like, oh, they're so elementary. I don't know what I'd use them for. But you'd be surprised by looking at some of the different templates that you think of something, oh, I could, you know, change this. So say we want to use this template. You click on it, and it just opens it up. So it's now, you can rename it, do whatever you need to do to it, and change it. So like, let's say that you create a template or something that you really, really like, you can put it out there for somebody else to use as well. I haven't actually started to do that yet, but, you know, put something like this on Classroom, print it out, whatever you need to do. There's a training video if you need. So this was what I was talking about with an interactive whiteboard. So I had my vocab on the side, the terms, and I actually do this in groups through Classroom, and they do it as like a little race who can match up key terms the quickest as a group. Just like a fun closing activity, like as an exit slip or something like that. And then to view it in full screen to where you don't see the menus, you see just the drawing. If you go to view, and it's down all the way at the bottom, click full screen, and it'll do that. And then when you want to get out of it and see your menus again, just press escape. And see this, they also have fun if you do this on the smart board. So they actually get up out of their seats, and then, the kids love to touch the smart board. So have you guys heard of a Wordle before? Okay. So I know that there are programs out there that will make the Wordle for you, but again, I teach computer classes and I want them to be able to do this themselves. So this was an article on Google. You know, the word that's repeated the most is going to be the largest, and this was all using word art. So they had to use, like, you know, put up, say, 35 words, depending on the length of the article. You change the font size, change the color, different font. So I made requirements like that for them that they had to do. One of the newer assignments I have my kids doing in drawing is with NCAA tournament. They're having to recreate the bracket, like draw it by themselves. And it's a lot of manipulating, and it gets them really comfortable and able to use the program in changing, you know, ordering, changing, you know, text boxes, and it's a lot of work. They don't even have to know anything about basketball. It's just, you know. Here's another example, and this was a template online, and you could use this for anything if you think about it. This is the fishbone diagram. Other awesome, useful links. They show various. Now this is kind of just talks about like general Google stuff. But add-ons, are you guys familiar with add-ons? For some of them are really relevant. Like I use the EasyBib one for when I have kids learning how to do citations and how to make them look correctly on the computer. But other than that, I haven't really used a lot of add-ons.
So there aren't add-ons for Google Drawing though, right?
I haven't found any that I actually would use.
Yeah, I just don't see the menu.
No, there's not going to be a menu in there, and my other links aren't going to work. But like the add-ons for Sheets I've used, and some for Docs. So you can use that and say like, then you have a newsletter that you made in Docs and you want an image from Drawing. If you have any questions, now's the time to ask. So there's the evaluation link. Yes?
So the background of your Google slide here,
Yeah.
you created in Drawing, saved it as a JPEG, and then uploaded it?
You can actually make that in Slides.
Oh, okay.
How I made that in Slides is there's something called Slide Master, and you can go and you can make your own slides.
Okay.
There's also another website, I can pull it up, but if you Google slide presentations or slide themes, it's one of the first 3 that pops up that it has free themes that you can use, and they're adding some fairly regularly, but it's really easy to create your own.
So do you think you could do that though, create it in Drawing, upload it as a JPEG to your Google slide background?
Yes.
Right,
Yes.
those too?
Mhm.
Okay.
And the only thing would be is you wouldn't want to change your font stuff because then you wouldn't be able to edit it. It would just be the actual background.
But then if you did that, you could also use it as a background in.
Anything. You
Whatever,
can,
like if you want.
anything.
Okay.
Anything. Like literally, yeah. Anything. I mean, I've used it, you know, I need to put like the sign on my door that says, you know, my schedule, my name, whatever, throw it in Google Drawings. Passes, you know, for the hallway, we actually, for those schools that you still have to write them out, I just did that. So I would only have to just, you know, put the kid's name in or the time, and so just throw that at them. Really, the sky's the limit what you could use it for. Yeah.
So can you, if you're doing a newsletter, can you create it, how do you create a template from that to use consistently?
Okay. Here, so does everybody have Drawing on? Because we can go through and totally show you how to do that.
Okay.
So we have our new drawing here, because just so you know what it is. Practice. So then if you want to go in and change, I think it might be a control thing. I just like being able to customize it. So if we were doing a newsletter, now if we want it to be portrait, 8.5 by 11, and we go ahead and click OK. Now, if you have an idea of what you want it to look like, and you can just start messing around, or honestly, really, I will Google newsletters and look in images and see one that I kind of like, and then kind of mimic that from there. So if you wanted to make a template, you'd have to come up with what you want it to look like. So notice mine was black and white and low grayscale, because I don't have a colored printer. But so you could print it on colored paper, but there's a lot of things that you can do with black, white, and gray to create interest as well. But we're just going to say we get to do a colored one now. So if you want to have, I don't know, a cool background, or you can go and then draw. And so you have this maybe be your main banner for your newsletter. Change the color and go with purple. You see that it's got a black stroke. You can change the size of it. So, sorry, I go fast. Gotta remember, I'm in the computer lab all day, every day, so. And And then, so if you want to put text in it, so this was a shape, if I just double click, you're going to see my insertion point, it's blinking. So I could type, how about spring 2015? So here's my text here. So now, it's kind of hard to see since it's dark. Let's go over, make it white. So again, you can go to your fonts, and so if you want to add more fonts. And so you can see all the ones that I have are the blue with the check marks, but look how many more there are. And they are always adding, like I don't have that one.
The blue ones are the new ones?
No, the blue ones are the ones that I already have.
Oh, okay.
So you can see I don't have all of them. To change the color of the text, look for the A, and then the little arrow to the right for the drop down. See, that one's new. So you just go through, you pick what you want. There's one called Cookie, Marvel, and then you can click OK, and now you have all those fonts. So you can go select, make it, size it. Say you want to have it in the middle. Now, like 96. Now realize, so say you want a text bigger than 96, you're not limited to just 96. You can go ahead and type in the font size that you want. So just be aware of that.
Or you can just start stretching it to make it bigger.
So yeah, I can see, but that only really works unless you're using word art. So word art you can stretch, but I just have text in a box here. That's okay. So I have my spring newsletter here. If you needed to put like additional text like the date and the volume or something, grab a text box. You can draw it. Volume 3. What else did they put besides volume? We could put the date. So this is then where you could work with the order. So it's on top already, but if it wasn't, easy way, right click, order. Now, if you're not getting that, like if you keep trying to like right click and it's not working, make sure you have it selected. That's a problem I've seen some of the kids have. Now, right now, if you look, can you see that really, really faint red line? Let me zoom in. Now you don't see it. That was the guides. It's really, okay, can you see that red line?
Yeah.
Okay, that's one of the smart guides or the snap guides. So right now the right side of my text box is lined up with the edge of the page. Just a word of caution, be careful because you don't want to get too close to the page because you don't have margins here like you would in, say, a doc. So you don't want to do all this work and then you can't, it cuts off. But if you download it as a PDF and go to print the PDF that way, the printer will automatically give you little margins on the side. So then we have the start of our newsletter here. So draw another text box. Maybe this is where we have, letter from the teacher or, and so you just put your text in here. So that's the main part of our text here. You can set this apart and show that it's important by probably just giving it a stroke around it. So something as simple as that.
Is it possible with the text to have it go around an image or anything like that?
Like word wrap it?
Yeah.
Not in drawing. Yeah, so for something like that, like if you were doing like an image or like a call out or a block quote, I'd probably do that in docs.
Okay.
But if I was getting really, really technical, I'd probably use InDesign. But yeah, for something quick and easy. Like, let's see, here, let me find. See if I put my freshman basketball. It's like nerve-wracking showing you my drive. I don't want you to be like, oh my God, it's so messy. It's like letting somebody into your dirty house or something. So here's my letter, I think. So this is word art. And it's, okay, no background here, but I just used basic black and white, grayscale, different fonts. I mean, a bulleted list. I think even though my image has a white background, I thought it was okay bringing it in there because it showed, you know, it just depends. I think I might have Googled and found something that kind of looked like this and then just went a different way. And, you know, if you're trying to call attention to something, you can make it stand out by doing the darker background, lighter text, different font. You know, I mean, sky's the limit. Any other questions of random things?
Well, my question is like, let's say you wanted to do that newsletter multiple times instead of putting the text in and you just wanted to create the boxes and the layout. What's the easiest way to use that same document multiple times?
Call it newsletter template, and then every time you open it, just make a copy.
Okay.
Just make a copy. That would be the easiest way to do it. I do that for so many things.
Okay.
I use GoogleDrawing when I'm doing set design. Is there any way to find out how big things are? Is there any ruler template?
I have emailed, or like, so with Google, anytime you see something that you really wish that they would do, you can go in and email them. So send, or basically if you go to help, send feedback to Google. I figure if I do it enough, they'll start to do it. Like, okay, with Classroom, do you guys use Classroom? Okay, you can now upload your own image into the banner for the theme. You can change the theme. And so that was something that we kept emailing about. I'm hoping they're gonna come up with where I can post like a bunch of announcements and assignments and set like a time delay. So I'm not putting like 6 things in and blowing up my kid's email. They'll come in and they'll be like, Mrs. Gratz, what the heck? Like, sorry guys, just getting some work done. But yeah, if you send the feedback to Google, eventually they do listen. They do listen. Yeah, I guess, you know, just think of all the different options and things you can do with drawing. Yeah.
I can't remember if you said this, but when you bring in an image and it does have that white like yours,
Yeah.
there's not the feature where you could just click the black part and get rid of the white in the background. That's such a simple thing.
But see, there's ways to work around it.
Right.
There's ways to make it work. Like, let's see. No, not what I wanted.
You can't do the shade box here.
So I'm trying to find one. There we go. Okay, so here's this one that I made for my web design class. Let's see if we can remove. Okay, so this one had a white little border around it. This border wasn't one that I put there, it was one that was on my image. But you can make it work with this by some of the different things that you do. I think, yeah, so my background color is green. I put just a white long rectangle there. And then these are 2 separate lines that I drew and then changed the style and then the weight, and that's how I made that white outline work for me. So there's ways to do it, you just gotta be creative and think outside the box. I don't know, it forces you to kind of have a little fun sometimes. What other questions can I assist you with? No, because I really wanted to give you time to be able to use drawing and see what you could use it for to take back to your districts. Okay, what could I do with this? And if you have any other Google questions that you might not get with your other stuff today, feel free to ask. I sometimes don't know what to go over because it's all up in here.
Just takes playing around.
It does. It really just takes playing around. That's how I learn, is by clicking on things, and there's nothing, you can't break it. You can't. Right, you can try. No, the Wordle thing has been really successful in my classes, because our big push is literacy. And the kids constantly tell me, well, there's a program that'll do it on the internet. I don't care. I don't care.
I really like the center, like that it'll do it for you. 'Cause
Yes.
so many times you're working and then you move
Well,
it
like,
or
you're
adjust it.
moving it around, and it's just,
Yeah.
and it does that, so like, here. Where is one? So just like moving an image around, I just love that, oh, it's centered. Oh, now it's centered and it's lined up on the side. It's just, I don't know. It's a great feature to be able to just automatically align things that way.
Or even like having when you do center vertically or whatever, it puts it right in the middle of the paper.
Yep,
So you
and
know
it
that's
shows
the
you those
center.
hash marks.
Like you can make like where you're gonna fold it, where
Exactly, and so like say you're doing something where you want to fold it and it doesn't give you, like you said for your set design, like your guides or whatever, but you could take a line and put the lines where you know is dead center, vertical and horizontal. But then you'd probably just want to remove them. Anything I can help you guys with?
For your Wordle, then you just had the kids change the fonts and everything, is that what you're getting, they did the upside down, they put them vertical, okay.
Like on the directions that I put in Google Classroom, I'd specify you had to have text going at least, 4 different things, whether it be diagonal, like I break it down like requirements that way.
So they chose then what their biggest one was gonna be and.
Based upon how many times that word was used in the article. So like the article was on Google, so how many times do you think the word Google was said? So
They
based,
judged
yeah.
it?
Well, they can go and they can highlight it.
Oh.
So based upon looking at their Wordle, I should be able to figure out what their article was about. That's the whole point of it.
Okay.
So looking for those keywords that are used again, just not like the, a, and, not
Right.
words like that.
Yeah.
Like words that are important to the topic of the article. Now, because that's how I've done it, I'm sure there's other ways to do it. But the whole point of it is to be able to look at the Wordle and be like, oh, I know what your article is about. If you were wondering about the slide, if you go into View in Presentations and you go to Master, this is where I created my slide, Master. And then you can apply it. And this is where you change your fonts and all that. And this is where you could bring your image in.
No.
It's fun, it's addicting.
No.
And then maybe I can find that other website. Any other questions or anything I can help you with? I mean, the sky's the limit what you can do.
When you talked about adding images,
Mhm.
did you mention using the research tool?
Yeah.
I don't remember if you mentioned that or not, but it was something I learned this year and I was excited about.
The research tool?
Yeah.
Well, like when you
When
add,
you go to tools and then research,
yeah,
when you bring the image over, if you search for images down there.
Yep.
Then it's gonna bring in the URL where they found it, so that's helping with the citation part.
use that with citations. I haven't used it in drawing, obviously.
Yep.
But like, it's really funny. So in slides, when you have a kid create a slide, we have the funniest one was, we have a, in Wisconsin, kind of geography, social studies class is all about Wisconsin. and the teacher showed me the presentation, and he was talking about Native Americans that had been here, but it was a picture of Gandhi. So it was like, you know, the first picture that showed up, they put on their presentation, and clearly Gandhi is not from Wisconsin. So it's also a good tool for the kids as well, as opposed to just going into Google and taking the first image that pops up. Yes. So what he was talking about is, so like, let's see. What would be something that we could search for?
Wolves.
Yes.
My kids had to do, that's why I know.
Wolves.
Yeah. They chose me.
And so, you know, you can get all your images that way.
And the cool thing is it just drags and drops over.
Yeah, and then
But
drag and drop,
You bring it over.
and it gives you your URL.
It should give it underneath that though.
Huh?
I said it should bring the picture with it, but that one just brought the URL.
Yep. But then you can see animal wallpaper. And I like how it opens another tab as opposed to redirecting you within the same.
It might be, because when you're in Chrome, it works over.
I know, I was
So I was
like,
just looking at that.
I'm in Internet Explorer, and I'm like,
That's why when I saw that, yeah, but I'm like, what the heck?
well, because I forgot
Dongle.
my little bundle guide to put my laptop to, because I teach in a computer lab, so I don't use that stuff all the time. So I didn't think to bring it, because I just assume everybody uses Chrome in MacBooks, right?
So what did you say you used for your citations?
Oh, EasyBib?
Oh, because we use Cite This for me, and I just didn't know why. Like, do you have a reason that you
No.
choose EasyBib over?
No. See, like, when I'm teaching citation, I'm teaching how it's supposed to look, how the citation page, the setup of it.
Yeah.
So,
I do the same thing for my tech class, and so I'm just saying, we use it. I like that when I do Cite This for me, I can choose the different styles and stuff right there, and then they can create.
Yeah,
it
I just
automatically creates the bibliography for them.
I just asked the English teacher, what do you want it to look like? What style are you using?
Yeah.
Tell me what you want, and then that's what I do.
Okay.
You know, a little cross-curricular work going on.
Yeah, I like because it gives them the in text. It gives so if they need to use it throughout their paper, it's already there.
It's hard to remember, like, I don't remember the format.
Well, they don't need to know the format. They need to know how to copy and paste it in there.
Because I remember using the book back in college.
They're so ugly.
Oh my gosh, like all the research papers in college,
Right.
like even for like my master's.
Right.
Oh, they were so
Well, see, I
big.
was lucky because when I got my master's, then that was already like, oh, that's you can kind of do this, and now it's like you have no idea. Now it makes the whole page for you. Like you get to set up margins.
So if you want to just do.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I was making the papers, I thought I was so lucky because I had like a little, I had a typewriter that played these discs. And I had to screen this, like I could see this wire text at a time.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I
Look
mean,
at here.
when we talk about technology, yeah, it blows my mind. Anybody else have anything that they think is really cool that they'd want to share with anybody, with the rest of us? Because, you know, the best way to learn is from each other. The kids show me new things every day.
I love that.
I don't know if it's new, but your whiteboard idea, I started using that this year, and I did just for teaching other teachers. I'm a tech integrator, so I teach teachers. I just started the job this year, and showing teachers how to use GoogleDrawing as a whiteboard. Because the district I was in, we had smart boards. Well, I mean, now it doesn't. So I'm like, how can we get interaction kind of things? So I said, I put a map on the United States, and I put all the states' text, like the words, and then students can drag it over and match it where it belongs and those things. And then for the younger students, you can put an image in there like an ocean. And then inside you can put pictures of animals.
Yeah.
And the question could be, which of these animals belongs in this habitat? And then they would drag those over. If you do it in
They
class,
go up to the computer and drag it over?
or you can do that, or if
Oh, I
you're
think,
using,
well, he said he doesn't have a smartboard. You said it was
we don't have a smartboard. What they could do is they could come with your computer and do that part. Or if you're using Classroom, you share this out with every student, and then they would do it themselves. So Google Classroom is, it's.
I whispered that, right?
It has,
Google Classroom is-
It's really the
No, Google-
there's a session on it.
Google Classroom
But I don't know
is,
this.
pretty new, it just started this year.
Yeah, it just started, it rolled out live for everybody. I was like, come on, I was in the test group. I was like, get it out, and it was September. Because before we had to use G-class folders, and those were just a headache. What?
I can't get rid of, like, I couldn't get, I use G-class folders.
Hey,
And you know, you're supposed to be able to hand them back to the students. I couldn't get them handed back, so now I have all these files that I don't.
archive them,
That's what it is.
archive them. So they're out, you don't see them, archive
That
them.
was what they
Able
were
to
trying to
just
do.
Yes.
click on it and it would like,
It doesn't.
tear up every time. I'm like,
Oh gosh, and like the setup and teaching the setup to export, get your stuff from your grade book, whatever it be, like we use Infinite Campus, and that would be like a 2-hour session during the summer it was horrible.
G-class folders, I'm like, there were some things, I'm like, I really love the concept, but I was like,
Google Classroom has just made my life so much easier.
what you said, like Google and like, you know, one of the things I use Blogger because I like the ability for kids to comment and then it gets, you know, kind of archive right away because it doesn't get messy, whereas in a classroom, it's everything, like you have to scroll. Do you think there's any way to kind of
I've been emailing on that one.
because the kids are like, oh, but Classroom, but Blogger, I'm going.
We are still using Blogger because it's easier.
Right.
This one.
And that's what so I have both, and I have the link to my classroom, you know, on the blog and everything, but yeah, if they could be together, I guess like I said, I can understand from a kid's point of view, like, in this class, this teacher
Well,
wants to
okay,
check here,
yeah.
this teacher wants to check here.
We, for our online game design class, it's part of Wisconsin eSchool Network, and then we have our own portion of it, so we have Classroom and we use Blogger, and the kids are like,
Right.
where do we go? So we use Classroom as our central location with, we put in as announcements the links, but I wish I could like prioritize my announcements, so like the links would always stay at the top, and then,
You have, like,
yes,
course resources.
yes.
And then you would just click on that and you can see those all there, so it's, yeah.
My tech director was like, well, why don't you just make a Google site? Because I don't like Google sites.
But now
I don't either, it's so complicated.
Google Classroom, I have a resources page.
Yes.
For each class, and you can.
Yes, but see, I just want my permanent link at the top to always stay at the top and never move. They need to talk to us before they make things.
Right, because like you said with Blogger, you have a different page, that's what I want to go to.
Yeah. And you know, you can archive classes now. That was huge because my class had started, I just started having too many different classes, so. But no, Classroom's great. I use it for my basketball, I use it for forensics, I use it for my link crew, so I have all these classes. It's great. It's easy just to get information out. It's gotten better this year. We've had a big push for it. So, it's gotten better.
I had a technical, but she's starting to get it.
You have to, like, because, you know, we do an enrichment period and their schedule gets emailed to them. It's like, teachers are like, no, I'm not going to check for you. Check your email. You see that smartphone? Check your email.
That's just it.
That's just silly.
So, okay, yeah, that's, maybe I'll email the
Yeah, email Google.